Hello, my name is Brad Scott, and one of the things that I love are art books, art of books specifically. And as a aspiring concept artist, one of the things I really love getting into are art books that really show the conceptual art of a movie or a game. And so I've been collecting art of books for years, and I have a very nice collection. And then one of my friends suggested that maybe you should start showing some of the reviews of your books on YouTube. And then people, will kind of get an idea of what art of books are really like and what are maybe some of the good ones and bad ones for I shouldn't say good and bad. I would say which ones are specifically niched towards specific areas. So one of the ones that I want to just start off with is one of the art of books that I think is by far one of the best when it comes to showing conceptual art. And it is The Art of Star Wars, The Last Jedi. Now, this is not a review on the movie or anything like that. This is specifically a review of the book, The Art of Star Wars, The Last Jedi. So the book is pretty thick, and as you can see, I've marked off a ton of pages that I'd like to show you. But all in all, I think it has 250 pages, and it's hardbound, and it comes with a nice dust cover jacket. If you take the dust cover jacket off, you see that there's some really beautiful art right on the hardcover itself. I typically leave my dust jackets on so that I don't destroy the book itself. That's what they're there for. And this particular image wraps around, so it's really nice. It's really sharp. And even the dust jacket has a nice little image on the back. So it starts off with just incredible art. If you were to just pick this up and look at if it was wrapped and you just looked at the cover art, you'd be like, wow, I need that book. And you'd be right. So I'm going to start off, and like I said, I've got a bunch of pages marked off here that I want to highlight. And with over 250 pages, I'm only going to be touching on just some of not even all of the stuff. And I'm going to pull these out because I don't need them after I show you. So this starts off with a beautiful image for the cover shot here. And it's just, it's pretty gorgeous. And I think it's a mixture of painted with maybe a little photo texture. It's really beautiful. And I'm not sure if this is one of the marketing pieces or the concept pieces, but definitely just a gorgeous piece of art to start off with. And then coming up, before we even get to the main part of the book, look at that battle scene. That is absolutely gorgeous. That is a gorgeous battle scene. And I mean, the detail in it, the structure of what it's made of, and you can see the brush strokes versus maybe some of the texturing, photo texturing. But a lot of this particular page really looks painted versus any type of photo bash. Can't tell for sure because I didn't make it. You got your table of contents right over here, and it highlights different sections of the movie, and then in each of these sections it shows you kind of the art behind that section. And here again, another beautiful concept art piece. And this one's all art, no photo. Absolutely beautiful. Now here is one of my favorite pages of the book. I gotta say, this is awesome. It's the who's who for the book. And what it does is it lists a lot of the concept artists, storyboard artists, directors, producers, and what I was able to do is with all, and I'm really into this because of the artwork and me wanting to be an aspiring movie concept artist or video game concept artist. So I was able to go through here and take all of the artists and find them either on their own website or Instagram or YouTube or ArtStation, so that I can follow them and some of the other art that they may be doing in their careers. And it's really helped me. You've got Ryan Johnson, who's the writer-director, and then a lot of the concept artists, some of the costume artists, Lucasfilm Senior Vice President of Development, so the production designer. So you get a lot of different people. So if you're into different parts of the movie process, there's people here that you can find out more about. James Klein, the VFX art director. This is, I have to say, one of my most favorite pages of the book, because it really allowed me to dig deep into some of the artists behind the movie. You come to this section here, and this is The Last Jedi in Exile, and there's just 3 pieces of absolutely beautiful concept art. And I can tell that there's a little bit of photo bash in there, but it really helps you kind of get a picture, like here with the 2 moons or the 2 planets out in the distance, and the scale of this image here with the human and the mountain, so you can really get an idea of how to scale a piece when you're creating art, because a lot of artists always think about scale. And even here you can see the scale. Here is the human, and then you can get an idea of the scale and magnitude of that piece. I really think this is an awesome page. Then here you get into some of the artist renderings, the actor renderings, and then it's not just all painted, and it's not all just one style, because as you saw, there's tons of pages with different artists. This page here just shows a concept sketch, not inked, not colored, just a pencil sketch. Absolutely gorgeous. And then over here, you've got a completely different airbrushed style. Very nice. And down here is another style. And it just shows you the range of different artists that created on this project. And I think it's fantastic, especially if you just wanted to see what a pencil sketch looked like, or you want to see what a more refined airbrush concept art looks like. You can see it in this book. This page here kind of shows Luke in different outfits as they outfitted him. And then you even have some great prop design on variations of backpacks. And that's one of the things concept artists do, is they have to create, they can't just create one backpack and say, here's the backpack. They create different backpacks, and then the director and the producers, they choose what they want. And so you kind of see some of the different ideas they went through to get to their final concept. And over here you have some of the vehicle craft and more of the landscape. Absolutely great. This page here, I think this is fantastic. I'm definitely going to be using this as a template for my role-playing game that I'm working on, Lords of the Labyrinth, where they take the island, the Temple Island, and then they find different photos that represent how different scenes and different moods and different environments for different parts of the island. And I think that is so sharp. Something I wouldn't have thought of doing, but it's absolutely fantastic. And I think it's a great way to kind of say, here's the mood and environment of this part of the island, and here's the mood and environment on this part of the island, and so forth, all the way around the island. I'll be using this definitely as taking a page from the book from them on this. And here's more beautiful concept art on this page. There's so much to go through here. Here again, you'll get some of the ink sketches of the different characters, and one of the notes they talk about is that they wanted the caretakers to have different moods and different personalities, and they show that, you know, different jobs for the different caretakers of the island, and how they would be incorporated into the movie and the environment. Absolutely fantastic. Something, again, I hadn't thought of. And here's more. Different moods and different jobs. They didn't want to just have the caretakers of the island standing around doing nothing, so they created jobs for them and created different concept art for those jobs. Great idea. Great idea. The porgs everybody loves, right? Everybody talks about the porgs. Well, how did they come about? And you can see it here. You can see how the different concepts they were going through, and it even talks about it in the narrative, how they were combining different animals to come up with different types of images for the porgs. And then over here they even got into some color variations of what the porgs would look like. More fantastic art on environments, and again showing different costume variations. Another different style of showing storyboarding and conceptual art. Sketches with some gray tones and maybe a splash of color to kind of bring out different moods. But again, it shows the different variations on how the concept art was created. Everything's not in one style. And then you take a look at this sketch with basic coloring here, and then you come over here to this full painting of that same scene and what it would look like. Absolutely gorgeous. Great. And here's just another splash page of that same scene showing Ray and Luke together as he goes fishing. One of the things the concept artist did was to create a language for the Jedi book pages. Fantastic. Didn't even think about it, but at the time, but now I can see, well, yes, someone has to create this, and that's the job for the concept artist. More great art, different scenes, different styles, and here you can see a basic sketch. Let me see if I can bring this up a little bit more. A basic sketch of how a scene would go. And then you'll see that scene painted out right here. This is another great splash page, and this is actually a page that I use to practice. And I want to show you something real quick. What I use these books for are to do master studies. So here is a page, and I looked at this and I was like, wow, I think I could do this, and how would I do this, and how would I get that mood and those rocks and those colors. And so I did a basic sketch myself of this same scene. This is not my work. This is me doing a master study of this work here. And let me see if I can put them side by side for you, so you can see this is theirs, this is mine, and this is just me trying to create that same mood. And I did a color variation, a black and white variation, but me trying to say, can I kind of capture that same mood and practice my conceptual art at the same time? Okay. Then we get into some of the spaceships, and here's the Super Destroyer version, and they had different versions with very subtle changes to show the basic shape, but also showing little variations that may or may not trigger an emotion or a feeling or that spirit that the director's really trying to capture. And I thought that was pretty awesome too, just showing here's the basic shape, and we have that, but this one's a little bit wider, this one's a little bit pointier, this one's a little bit flatter and spread out. Basically the same, but all in different types of versions. Another fantastic scene with the red just kind of showing that domination and capturing that feel and that emotion. This is a fantastic book. And here is one for the Praetorian Guards, and it shows different variations on their uniforms. And it shows different variations on their uniforms, 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 they kind of knew the direction they wanted to go with, and you can read the narratives over here. But then you just see slight variations, and it kind of shows that you don't have to get super crazy creating different variations. But as you look at them, you can see subtle differences, not only in their uniforms, but in their weaponry. And again, there's as you look at it, you see just basic changes that once you look at it, you're like, oh yeah, I can tell. Like these two, the only difference between these two is on this one, both blades curl up, and on this one blade curls up and one blade curls down. Just a little slight variation that may have to do with a fighting style if both blades were the same, or if the blades were countered off of each other. And what about if it was a curved instead of a straight? Just things that make you think as you want to grow in your art career. Another variation on suits, on what the back to suit looks like, and showing his recovery. Here's another great scene that a splash page that they have in the book, and it shows the casino and what that would feel like. And I saw this one and I said, wow, I've got to do a master study on that. So I just did a basic black and white master study of that same scene, just seeing if I can kind of capture that same feeling, that same emotion from this. I didn't do a full out painting, but I wanted to see if I could duplicate some of that basic structure to give me something to work off of, that maybe I could take this to a finished product. So that was fantastic as well. I love this page. Here's some more casino scenes. The art is fantastic. And some of these, aren't conceptual. They're more marketing and finished pieces. Some of these may be production pieces. They do talk about what the different pieces are for in the book, which is great. Here's another one, the Daytona Speeder version. All the different shapes that they experimented with in creating the Daytona Speeder, and that the subtlety differences of this, where they just started off with exploring shape design. If you look at these, there's not a lot of detail, but you can definitely see how they explored shape design in getting to the final version. Fantastic. They even looked at how the gauges would look over here. But this is a great page and another great exercise if you're a practicing artist, of just taking a concept and saying, how can I do the same thing in 20 different versions? That's crazy. That's absolutely nuts. I love it though. I love it. Here's another example of the droid helmets or the droid heads. Just different variations, different concepts on what will the droid head look like. And if they have multiple droids, what could they look like? And they're not so drastically different that they look like one just doesn't belong, but it gives the director and the producers an opportunity to say, okay, maybe I like this and this and this, or maybe I don't like any of this, and come up with something different, which happens in the concept art world. The concept artist's job is not necessarily to create these finished, beautiful marketing illustrations, but to come up with ideas. And this shows that there are over 30 ideas on what the head of this droid could look like. Speaking of which, they had to outfit everybody at the casino. And the narrative here is really great because they talk about maybe you can do slight variations on the men's suits, because even now men may wear the same tuxedo a different way, but women, females, are going to want a different dress. So they had to come up with styling for hundreds of people with different outfits. And this just shows some of the variations that they put in that. And I thought that was fantastic. And reading about it from the artist's point of view was just great when they were talking about we had to outfit 300 people and come up with 150 different couple outfits. It was great. Here's some more great concept art, but I want to look at this one here, the storyboard section. That's fantastic. Showing the storyboard, showing the zoom and the pans with the notes. This is great. If you're into storyboarding, this kind of gives you an idea of how a storyboard might go. And I thought this was fantastic that they put this in the book. Like I said, this is one of the best art of books that I own, that I've ever seen. And I want to start off with this out the gate to just show what a fantastic concept art book looks like. Dressing the police and what the uniforms might look like, and even breaking down the visor, the helmet, and the helmet, I shouldn't say visor, breaking down the helmet on what the helmet would look like and how it goes together for the production team. Oh my God, that's fantastic. The races, the different jockeys. Look at that. Again, concept artists come up. You can't just come to the table with one idea. You got to come to the table with multiple ideas. And that's what they did. And this isn't probably even all the ideas they came up with. This is just probably a cut section for the book. Maybe, maybe not, but just reading through the book, because I don't just look at the pictures, I read them. And it just feels like they came up with so much more. Here's another good breakdown of, remember I showed you the island and what the different parts would look like? Here is a breakdown of a schematic of what the area would look like, so that they know what's where and how maybe a chase or a race would go, because they have the schematics of the place. Someone has to design that. Someone has to come up with it. Another fantastic shot. This shot here is beautiful, and you kind of get the grand scale of this spaceship, and then you can see some of the other spaceships out in the distance. I love this page so much, I had to do a concept art practice session on it. So mine is nowhere near as good as this, and I even used the wrong ratio to try to get that whole expanse, but I was able to kind of put down and practice getting the shape of what the start of one of the spaceships may look like here, and trying to get that grand scale of this one. Like I said, I used the wrong scale, size, and so I was kind of limited on how much I could really scale it down, but I think I captured the practice that I wanted to do to try to recreate that moment. And I'm kind of happy with the way it turned out. I'm almost done here. Again, here's some sketches, not fully developed pencil sketches on the laundry area. The helmet. So this is really nice, reading about the paratrooper helmet, and they were showing the variations they used from the last helmet to this helmet, and they talk about the little things, the little details they change to make the new helmets a little bit more aggressive, and things we probably didn't notice in the movie, but now that you see them detailed out, you kind of know why these stormtroopers looked a little bit different. Here's another storyboard section. Basic storyboarding, showing the camera areas with the notes. I thought that was fantastic. And the spaceships, showing different color designs, and even some orthos, more uniform changes. This was fantastic. This cutaway was, and the detail they put in there, this is unbelievable. And down here is a person, and right there is a person, so you can see the scale of this spaceship. The bombers, that's what this was. This was the bomber, the T-wing bomber fuselage. and the detail in it is really nice. And then adding those human figures for scale, fantastic work. Oh my God, really inspiring. Really got the brain juices going. Here's another section showing some different uniforming for the Rebel poncho. Here's another splash page showing the Red Salt Desert. I thought this was fantastic as well. Just a beautiful way to give a concept of what you want. But what I really like about this one is this is the detail. You can see the red salt, but then you get a measurement of scale over here with one of the bots that it's battling with, and just the way this is laid out, I just thought it was so amazing. I didn't do a master study on this one, and I should have. I still can, I guess. Here's another example of some storyboarding. There's lots of areas in here that they show the storyboard, and if you're into storyboarding, it's here for you. And then what I like about this one is they show a battle schematic, and you'll see the First Order and the TIE fighters and the AT-ATs and the guerrilla walkers and them coming this way, and then you see the resistance coming this way, and they kind of show you what's going on in the mount. This schematic of the battle I think is really cool because you could build this out in a 3D software like Blender and then fly around and get different views and shots and put it together. And I don't think it would take a long time, because once you make one TIE fighter, you can put a bunch of them in there. And once you make the AT-ATs and guerrilla walkers, you can put them in there. And then so I think this is just a great way to kind of show a top view down and then look around and build different scenes from this. And I mentioned Blender because, like me, if you're starting out, you may not be able to spend $1,500 on some of the other software packages out there, and Blender is free, and you can do pro work on the Blender software. And maybe I'll talk about Blender software at a later date. And this one, oh, look at that. That's just gorgeous. You see the AT-ATs with the guerrilla walker, the AT-ATs, the guerrilla walker in the back, and then you see Ren's mastership right there, and the tone of the picture, the mood, fantastic. And this is the last one that I want to show, and it just shows that mood of Luke on the island in the sunset. And I might still do a master study of this one here and just practice the sky and the rock. One of the other ones I didn't show you in the book, but there is another picture in here that I did a master study on, and you can see it here. It's the TIE fighters battling one of the rebel ships, and it was just a quick study that I did, and it came out pretty good. I forgot where it was in the book, but it was, and I actually didn't finish this one, but it's when I started, and I think I did that late at night one night when I was just kind of looking around, but yeah. And like I said, there's tons more in this book, and it's a pretty nice, thick, solid book, and I would highly recommend it. It's one of the best ones that I own. I still reread it. I still refer to it. The reread value in it is tremendous. I can't say enough good things about this book. Written by Phil Szostak and Ryan Johnson, and great book. If you're an aspiring artist and you want to get into movies, I would say there's so much information and value in here that you can't go wrong buying this book. Highly recommend it. And again, one of my favorite pages is the page with all of the main players that shows their names and positions, because from that you can do more research and find out more about these people. And I follow a lot of them now on ArtStation and Instagram. And I just like to finish by saying I think this is a fantastic book. It's worth it to have on your bookshelf. If you're an aspiring artist or an artist that's aspiring to work in the movie industry, you will learn so much from this book. And if you're not, if you just want a beautiful art of book as a coffee table book, fantastic. Makes great gifts. It is definitely a conversation piece, and once you start reading it, it's going to be very hard to put it down. So, The Art of Star Wars, The Last Jedi, highly recommend. Thank you for watching.